Luna's here! Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a Shop My Stash update. So we're going to be going over the things that I've been using the past few weeks and how I feel about them. So if you like the sound of that, just keep watching. So I've been trying a lot of different foundations. We're going to start with that. So first off is the Becca Evermatte foundation. I have two shades here, Porcelain and Shell. Neither one is a perfect match to me. I think it's Shell that's a little more neutral and Porcelain that's a little bit more pink. They're both a little bit on the dark side. And this used to be my holy grail foundation. I've been through multiple tubes of this stuff, but then I started trying out a lot of other foundations, and when I went back to this, I just wasn't super impressed. Both of these are almost gone, so I will be using them up, and then I probably won't be repurchasing these unless they come out with a shade that actually matches me. Then I might give it another try. Next is a foundation that I mentioned in my February favorites video, but this was in the bad category, and that is the Hourglass Immaculate foundation in the shade Blanc. And like I mentioned in that video, this is a pretty good shade match, but I have a really hard time working with this formula because it does dry so quickly that it's hard to spread it out and get a nice even application, so it ends up looking kind of patchy, and then you can't really build it up because it dries down to a powder finish, and then it looks extremely heavy after that. So I was not a fan of this foundation. Even just for mixing, I don't like it. Next up is another foundation that a lot of people with oily skin seem to like, and I just don't get the hype, and that is the Marc Jacobs Remarkable foundation. I have mine in the shade 10 Ivory Light, which is too fair for me. So I like that the shade range does go light enough for people even fairer than I am. So the only way that I use this is by mixing it in with other things that are a little bit darker. And even then, I just don't like this. They say that you only need like 3 dots to do your whole face, because I have tried to use this by itself before, and I don't find that you get full coverage with 3 little dots. I do use a lot more than that, and then it transfers like crazy, and I always set my foundation with powder, and I find that this transfers, and I don't think it lends any kind of mattification to the mixtures that I've been putting it in, so I just don't get the hype, and this is so crazy expensive for what it is. Next up is the Urban Decay All Nighter foundation. I have mine in the shade 0.5. This is the lightest shade, and it does oxidize quite a bit, so once it oxidizes, it is too dark for me, but again, I can mix this in with other things. This is either my second or third bottle of this, so at least at some point I really did like this, but I haven't been as impressed with it lately because it is a heavier foundation, and I guess I've been using some other foundations that don't look quite as heavy, and so when I went back to this, then I didn't really love the way it looked on my skin, but I'm going to try mixing it with some other stuff and see if I can find a winning combination there. And I have 2 more foundations. These are actually ones that have been working out well for me as a mixture, and they're both drugstore foundations too. So this one is the Sonia Kashuk Soft Focus Satin Matte Foundation, and mine is in the shade 01 Bisque, and then the Maybelline Superstay in the shade 102 Fair Porcelain. I find that the color combination here is good because this is a little bit too light and it's more pink. This one's a little bit too dark and it's more yellow, so when we mix these together, it comes out pretty good in the color combination. This is actually what I'm wearing on my skin today. And I find the staying power to be pretty good on this as well, so have been actually impressed with this combination. For other face products, I've been continuing to use my NARS Laguna bronzer, so you can see that I am almost finished with it, and my goal is to finish this at least by the end of April, maybe even do it sooner than that. And then I've also continued to use my NARS Orgasm blush just because this is a nice peach pink color with a little bit of sheen to it. And the other blush that I've had in my rotation is the Tarte Dollface blush, and you can see that I've panned this one as well. So I'm working on using both of these up. This one is more of a cool toned pink, this one's more of a warm toned pink, so I've kept these out because no matter what look I'm going for, one of these is gonna work. So I have been enjoying both of those blushes. And then a highlighter that I've been using that I hadn't used in a while is this Tarte Amazonian Clay highlighter in the shade Stunner, and this is just a mini size of it, but this has a really nice tone to it, very neutral. That's what I'm wearing on my face today. Really smooth texture, so I have been enjoying this as well. And after I finally put away my BH Cosmetics Spotlight Highlight Palette that you know I have been absolutely loving, I did move on to my Anastasia Glow Kit, and this is the Sugar Glow Kit. So you can see there's actually a lot of similarity between these two. Obviously this one's a lot more expensive, but still really nice quality. My favorite in here is definitely Starburst, which is a really nice pink highlight. Marshmallow pulls an extremely strong gold shift, so even though Butterscotch is a lot darker, I actually think I prefer this one over the Marshmallow. And then Gumdrop is pretty, but it's more of a deeper pink, and so this makes a pretty blush topper on my skin tone. So I did also enjoy that as well. And lastly, let's talk about eyeshadows, because that's always my favorite category. So 2 weeks ago, I was using both the Naked 3 palette and the Juvia's Place Nubian palette. So the reason that I chose these two palettes to pair together for the week is that this one has more of these rosy tones. It has that matte cream color in this one that this one lacks, and this one obviously has a lot more warmth to it. I'm not blown away by the Juvia's Place palette, but I do like the combination of colors that's going on in here. I do like these mid-tone matte browns right here. I really like this whole row of shimmers in the middle, and this pink color over here is really beautiful as well. They've got a nice deep brown over here and a little bit lighter brown over here. I could honestly do without these two shimmers, but overall this was a nice palette. The Naked 3, however, I just am so disappointed with this. This was the first high-end eyeshadow palette that I ever got, so that's probably part of the problem, is that it's old, because I got this when I was in college. So I've had this for 6 or 7 years, and it probably is just time to get rid of it. And beyond that, it's just so boring. I feel so uninspired when I use this. There are only 3 matte shades in the whole palette. There is the cream color, which I do get a lot of use out of because that's what I always use to just set my eyelid before I start. And then the other 2 mattes are right here, but they're just so similar once you get them onto the eye. And then there's a bunch of colors down here that all look pretty similar, and they're all either satin or shimmers. This color up here, Dust, would be a great inner corner highlight if it wasn't so freaking glittery. So I just don't enjoy using this, and I think that when my time comes to decide what to declutter, I think this is probably going in that pile. And then the week after that, which was last week, I was using a combination of the Ulta Beauty Matte Neutrals palette and these 2 Wet n Wild palettes, Comfort Zone and Petal Pusher. Matte Neutrals palette is what it sounds like. It is an all matte palette, and that's why I chose to pair it with these two, because these are all shimmers in the Wet n Wild palettes, and this is just a really good palette. All the mattes in here blend really well. They are smooth and buttery. They're pigmented enough, but they're not overly pigmented, and they've got warmer tones and cooler tones. You can really lay down the base of any kind of look you want with this palette, so I really liked that one. And then as for the shimmers, I wasn't super impressed by the Petal Pusher palette. I really do like purple eyeshadows, but I guess maybe I like the more plummy shades, and these had some more cool tone purples, and I wasn't as impressed with the quality on this one as I was with the Comfort Zone. I know the Comfort Zone has been around forever and this is a cult classic, but I have only had this pretty recently for the past few months, and I really enjoyed working with this palette. So I especially liked this shade down here that has that kind of blue reflection to it. I used that like 3 times during the week that I used this palette. I also do enjoy both of these lighter shades up here as well as this pink that's also really pretty. So I was really impressed with this. Do want to hold on to that one. The Petal Pusher, this one might not be safe when the declutter rolls around. So those are all the updates I have for my shopping my stash. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye.